everyone, and welcome back to the Creative Juggle Joy podcast. I'm Kaylie Edwards, and I'm here today with my co-host, Delores Naskrent.
Hi.
And we're going to do more of a casual episode again for this episode, as it's in the new year. We're already halfway through January, which I can't believe is it's already gone.
I can't believe it.
But we're going to just reflect on last year and our goals and intentions for this year.
Sounds good.
Delores, what's something you're proud of from last year, personally or professionally, that you didn't expect to achieve?
I am proud of the fact that I am still ahead on my courses. So I recorded, you probably remember that I batch recorded a ton of classes. And at the time, it was, several months worth, and I'm still running those courses. So I haven't had to do any recording for my membership content, which is really great. I, of course, took a little aside there, and I did the the Affinity Designer Foundations, which, of course, was huge. And I would say, if I was looking back at last year, that would be the thing that I'm the most proud of, is getting that, completely done. Ran it the whole, 8 weeks, and had a very good turnout and some very happy students who are already seeing some success. So that's I think my crowning achievement for 2024.
Yes, I think that was... I don't know how you do it and get ahead so much with course content. With my new release, it's been difficult. I think the problem is I think because I'd set it up to go out after Christmas, I think that's where I've gone wrong. Is I think, I thought I'd have time because obviously I was off for Christmas. I'd have that time. No, but it didn't. Yeah.
It's hard.
And then life happens.
Hard.
Happens and toddlers get sick. So, yeah.
And double whammy, right? Because he was sick first, and then he got the eye infection.
Yeah,
right?
he had like a cold.
Pink eye.
Yeah, he had like a cold for 3 weeks, and it was dragging out.
Ugh.
And then it just seemed like he was starting to get over it. And then he finished playgroup, and a couple of days later, he got conjunctivitis. And I was like, and it was like full on, like his eyes were closed in the morning. I couldn't, and I had to like pry his eyes open. It was awful. And I think it was the first morning. It was just the one eye, and it wasn't so bad. But then he'd gone to bed in the evening, and he was starting to get it in the other eye. And then it was the next morning he'd had it full on. And soaking the cotton wool balls and soaking his eyes, and he didn't like that after the second day. And I think it was after Christmas. Obviously we couldn't get anything for him before Christmas because it was so close to Christmas. Went to the pharmacy, they gave us eye drops, the antibiotics, and we were supposed to put in his eyes every 2 hours for 2 days, and then every 4 hours for 3 days for a 5-day course. How on earth you're supposed to keep a toddler still when they're screaming and squirming and they don't understand? They're shouting at you, stop.
Yes. Oh,
and please,
awful.
He was shouting, please, stop. And it was like, oh my God, how am I supposed to do this? I feel such a guilty parent, but I know it's for the best, to help him with his infection in his eyes. But we ended up having to run its course and let it leave on its own because we couldn't keep doing that to him, because we had to like force it. It was horrible. It was like the worst parenting moment.
Yeah, we all have those. Well, I'm glad that he's over it, yes. Because now we're back in the swing of regular life. It's like holidays seemed like so far in the distance already. Like it just happened, and yet it just seems like a while ago already, because we've done so much since the holidays already.
Yeah. Well, we are in Florida, aren't you? Working... So it's different.
Yeah, we're in Florida, so we traveled. Part of our what you'd call holidays was traveling. We went to Winnipeg to have a nice Christmas there with family, and the next day we were at the border by about 8 in the morning, and then we drove here. We took a little bit of extra time because we wanted to hit a bunch of the states that we have not hit. So we went pretty much straight east, so we were able to hit like Maryland and Virginia, both Virginias, and I can't remember them all. I should have had them all written down, but we went through a whole bunch of states that we hadn't, because one of our I don't know what you'd say, like your retirement wishes was that we would make it through all of the states at some point. And we used to say we were eating our way across America because we would choose cities that had restaurants that were featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. So we have eaten at some fantastic restaurants. And yeah, it's been really fun. But we still have quite a few states left to go. But now, at least on the map, most of the east side we've done.
Oh, awesome.
So that was kind of fun. Yeah, it was fun. And just not thinking about work for that period of time. We really enjoy when we travel. We like to stop and take a look at things on the that come along, and we don't necessarily always take the interstate highways. So sometimes we get off on some little back roads or little highways, and it's fun. We get to see the real America.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes that you don't see on the news and stuff.
That sounds really, really fun. I'd love to do something like that. I've always said I'd love to go to the US and go to the States and just have a look at different places, because you see it on the TV, and I've seen like so many films and TV shows for like different places, and like Miami was one I want to go to.
So pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going back. We have to go back. We're not super close to it here in Florida, but yes, I would say put that on the top of your list.
Like that one, and New Orleans was big on my list to go to.
Yes.
I'm not
It's
a
wonderful.
big fan of crowds. I don't like London. So I know I'm here in the UK, but I don't like going to London. It's just people are rude. I don't like it. If someone bumps into you, they don't apologise. They're just so rude. I don't like it. People just crowd at you. I'm not a big fan. I'm an introvert. I'm not a big fan of big crowds. So like the likes of New York and things kind of terrify me a bit. Mm-hmm. I'd love to go, but just for the experience of it and see the sights. Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, we went through Savannah, which is really nice. We've been to Savannah a couple times, and last time we went through there, we went to there was a train museum that my husband wanted to see, and then right beside it was SCAD, it's called, so Savannah School of Art and Design, and I was going to go in, but the door was locked. But then a young student came along, and I just said, visiting faculty, and she just let me in. So I was able to walk around this whole faculty design, like all digital art. It was fantastic. And it just happened too that the bookstore there was having a big kind of I don't know what you'd call it, but like a trade show where all the suppliers of art supplies were on hand with giveaways. And so I left there with a big bag full of all kinds of new things. And I even got to try some things that I had never tried before, like alcohol ink, which is something I've always wanted to try.
Yes.
And there I was in the college. I did have my teacher card. If they had ever asked me, I would have been able to pull it out. But it was kind of fun to just talk to other, staff people, how they teach, what they teach, and then also talking to students, because students were manning a lot of the tables. And there was one young lady who had a sketchbook there. So I got to looking at her sketchbook, and we ended up exchanging Instagram, just so that we could keep up with each other. And now she's out of school, and I've been able to see her as she's kind of like moved into kind of transitioning into working as an artist. So it was a wonderful experience. So we're going to go back at some point. We're going to go back to Savannah. We definitely want to do the East Coast before we leave.
Yeah.
So
That'd be cool. I like the sound of that.
Oh, it'll be great.
Yeah. See, I want to visit my old college again, where the art department was, because there's a teacher there who had a good influence on me. She was my ceramics teacher, and like I know I've seen her. She attended one of the markets. I was a stall. I was on one of my stalls, and she'd come in, and yeah, I didn't get much chance to talk to her because it was so busy there. And I just remember seeing her, and I was thinking, I miss that. I just miss some teachers. Isn't that nice when?
Yeah, it's nice when you can reconnect. And I did enjoy doing in-person sales when we did them in our city, because Che would force me to go with her. Normally she does the shows all by herself. She goes all over without me. But this one in Brandon, I would come and help her. And I don't know why she would want me there, because I literally did not help her at all, because I was standing and chatting with either other people in the booths beside me, the other artists, or I would have, so many people, students and people I just knew from growing up there, all walks of life, like people who I had maybe taught their kids, or the kid and the mom would come in together, and it was such a great visit. It's really nice to be able to share your work in person. That's one thing I kind of miss. I don't do it anymore, but I know a lot of the listeners that we have do in-person sales, and it's so fun to talk about these things at the Thrive meetings. On Tuesdays, we've had so many people who basically had completely shared what happened in their show season this fall. Yeah. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. I miss and I don't miss the stalls.
Yeah.
Doing the stalls at the markets. That's the thing, I didn't get to do a lot of it because obviously the pandemic hit when I've not long started. So they all got cancelled, the ones I'd applied for. And then obviously after the pandemic, it was still very funny with that kind of space. Yeah, so it was quite difficult. And then obviously I got pregnant. That all had to change.
That happened to Che. Did I tell you that story, Kaylie, about Che? Yeah?
I think so. Yeah, because she was pregnant and heavily pregnant, wasn't she, with the last fair that you did?
That's right. We were booking the shows in the spring, and she had announced that she was pregnant, and I said, "Are you sure you want to do? Are you sure you want to do this in the fall?" She's like, "Yeah, Mom. No problem. I mean, we could do it between the Winnipeg show. We could be born between Winnipeg and Edmonton. It's not going to be a problem." But I don't think she had any idea of what she was getting herself into.
You don't. When it's your first, you have no clue.
No idea.
You think, I'll be fine.
And she was so big, and she was trying to work on, like, standing and trying to work, and she couldn't lean over the work to do like the dry mounting and stuff. And she did end up having him between shows, but I mean, you're just not in any good shape to go and do a show a week or two after your baby's born. So we did it, though. We went, and I went with her. My husband and I went with her, and then I was minding the baby. I was the baby minder while she did her thing, but she was so exhausted. I felt so bad for her.
Oh God. Yeah, I couldn't, but yeah, I was only I was at 6 weeks or 7. I was either 7 or 8 weeks when I had my last craft fair. Because I was up till like 2 a.m, finishing off packaging and everything. I was just sitting on the floor crying because I was like, I feel so sick.
I bet you were.
I felt so sick, and I was like, oh my God, if this is what pregnancy's going to be like, I can't do this anymore. I couldn't.
You must have been exhausted.
I was. Yeah, Reese helped, but it wasn't the best show either to end on because hardly anyone turned up because it was so cold. And my stall, they'd put me near the door. So it was so cold. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. Not with a baby on the way. Not a chance.
Everybody who does shows has these horror stories to tell. If it's not one thing, it's another.
Yeah.
They get all the way, they've driven 8 hours and get there and they've forgotten something absolutely key. Or Che ended up in the ditch one time on the way to a show.
You remember you telling me about that.
Wasn't too fun. Yeah. You got to be, you definitely have to be able to think on your feet.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Like, I can remember my first big order I got was at a craft fair, and I just couldn't believe it because I thought the lady was taking the mick, to be quite honest, because she was like a young girl, and she'd come over and she was smelling everything and she was picking loads of stuff up, and then she just kind of said, "I'll be back," and then she'd left, and I was like, probably never going to see her again. When you just think, yeah, they've gone now for good. Yeah. And I hadn't seen her. It was like mid-morning that happened. And then it was, I think, half an hour before packing up. And she turned back up with her boyfriend. And basically says, I will have this. And she just picked up a load of stuff.
Fantastic.
And she was like, these are all for Christmas.
That's great. Yeah.
I
love it when it works out.
Yeah, it came
like
up
that.
to like £200 or something like that. And I was like, wow. It was like
That
my
feels
first
good.
craft fair. And it was like my first big order. And that really felt good, and that was what I needed, I think. And then obviously the pandemic hit.
Oh, that's great.
It was like, what's going on?
Well, you could still leave on a proud note.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, you asked me what made me so proud from last year and what things were really great for me, but I'd like to hear what you have. What was the main thing that's really stood out for you this year?
Setting up the podcast, I think.
Yes.
I think that although it wasn't rushed because I planned it for months and months ahead before I even told you.
Oh, is that right?
So it wasn't like a really unplanned thing. I think the problem is we wanted to launch it at quite a very busy time. I was heading off for 2 weeks off on holiday, and we was getting it set up. So yeah, that was kind of a not so great time to launch.
A little crazy.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. But it's definitely been very rewarding so far. And we've got more future plans for it. So, yeah, I think that was probably my proudest. And obviously I can't not note Aston's development as well. Like, I've been proud of this year. Like, he's just come on so much. He's two and a half this month. And he's just, especially over Christmas, his speech has got so much better. And there's just this one moment that me and Reese just couldn't believe it. He was pointing at the TV. He's got this TV show sometimes he watches. It's called Danny Go. It's on YouTube. It's a YouTube channel for kids. And I think it's supposed to be for older kids, but he likes watching it because it's got actions and things he can do. And there's part of the episode, I think there's a few of them, that he does a bit of this, where it's floor is lava.
Oh, yeah.
And Aston started doing it, where he goes, lava, 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 floor, lava, and he points at the floor, and we all have to get up and off the floor, and then he goes, bye-bye, lava.
That's so cute.
And it's just the cutest thing. And he does it now in the day when I'm doing work, and he did it last week. And we have the box for the air fryer that we got for Christmas from Reese's parents. And it's in the living room at the moment. And he's actually broke the box now because he keeps getting on top of it. And he keeps going, lava, lava, floor, lava. So he gets onto this box, and then he's like, mummy, 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 floor, lava. So I have to get up off the floor and put my legs up. And then I say, well, where are you going to go? Because there's nowhere for you to go. You're on top of a box in the middle of the floor. Nothing around you. So he kind of just goes, bye-bye, lava, and then walks over. Like, okay.
That's great, though. That really shows that he's really getting it. Just enjoy it. Really enjoy it. I know sometimes when you're exhausted, it's hard, but I know those times just pass so quickly.
Yeah, it's just the little things at the moment he does. Like, I was in the kitchen the other day, I was doing the washing up in the morning, just before making breakfast, and he come over, because I'd left my glasses on the table, and he come over to the gate, and he was like, "Mummy," and I handed him my glasses, and I took them off, and he went, "Thank you," and walked away. I was like, "Thanks."
Aww.
Don't know why, but he blew a kiss at me. I was like, okay.
Very
he's
sweet.
So cute sometimes.
Very
but
sweet.
Yeah, his development's come along like a lot lately, which is I'm very grateful for that he has. And they've noticed in playgroup when he went back yesterday that his vocabulary's come along so much more than it was before Christmas, and he'd improved so much anyway. But like, some people say that you can't have the TV on all the time because it'll affect their development. They won't speak and what have you. I've cancelled some stuff on the TV because I've seen a load of education stuff on it that's saying that it's actually quite bad for them, some episodes on certain channels. I think it's Cocomelon. It's not very good for children. So I stopped letting him see them, and his speech just shot up after not seeing that for so long. It was just incredible, and I thought it was just a joke, to be honest, but then it just he came on so
great.
Much.
It's great to keep up with that information, and besides, it's also good for them to develop imagination and make believe and that kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah, and that's why I've started putting more things on for him where it has to get him to do an action.
Yeah.
So he's learning how to do things like this Danny Go. He does like left and right and jump and duck and things. And he tries to do it along with him. And he does like dancing and stuff so he can kind of dance along to things. And
nice.
It's just getting him doing different things now. And keeps him active whilst I'm in the middle of doing stuff.
Sure. Gives you a chance to do things you need to do while he's doing that.
Yes, it is. I'm grateful. But yes, I do get the mum guilt sometimes because I'm working. But Christmas, obviously, I didn't get to do anything, so it doesn't matter with that.
You got to give yourself a break sometimes.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so looking back, what was the biggest challenge for you in the past year, and how did you handle it?
My biggest challenge was just getting everything done that I needed to get done in the amount of time that I had. So despite the fact that I have no young children or pets or anything like that to distract me, and I do work long hours, I still wasn't really able to get everything done that I wanted to. Not that we didn't do lots. I mean, we did a lot. We accomplished a lot. But, some things were just kind of pushed a little bit into this year. So we started a little bit later on some stuff that would have been nice to have had done earlier, but I'm kind of glad because honestly, right now, I can think more clearly. I think I was too busy.
Yes, yeah.
And I think it's helped me to think more about my annual planning. So I am still annual planning. I know it's the middle of January, but it's been really helpful in this last week just to touch base with, you and Amber and Lindy and even Inca, everybody that helps me out, just trying to, just plan the whole year out so that, first of all, I'm not surprising people with stuff that we're going to do, or that I'm thinking well enough ahead that it doesn't feel so manic,
Yeah, that was the goal for this year.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Did I answer the question? I can't remember what the whole question was.
I think it was, how did you handle it?
Oh, how did I handle it?
Yeah.
I stayed in my pajamas a lot. Cried tears. I don't know. I did have to absolutely prioritize sleep. It was so important for me to sleep well. And one of the things I did do, which, you can't do because you've got a toddler. And when I was working full time, when I had my kids at home, I could never do, was to sleep in. I always said, if I could just sleep until I wake up, how nice that would be. Instead of like having to, somebody else wakes me up or an alarm wakes me up. So this past year, I just slept until I woke up. I didn't force myself to get up early for anything. There's plenty of times when I was still up by 7 because, I guess 30 years of 30, 40, whatever years of working had me up before 7, probably 6:30 every day. So it's like not that far off. But, just some of those days when I could sleep until 8 or 8:30, it was all I needed. And gosh, if I didn't have that, Kaylie, I don't think I would have survived it. I would have gotten sick, and I ended up not getting sick, which is amazing when you think about it, because I'm just about always sick in the fall, like, at this time of year, heading into our busy season or during the launch. I'm surprised I wasn't sick during the launch. So I think that the key was getting enough sleep.
Yeah, that was something I'm sorely lacking.
I know.
Last year, and it's still coming into this year. I felt like I had a few lie-ins actually over Christmas where Aston, because we took him to bed a bit late,
yes,
he actually slept longer. But the issue is I still had to get up to feed the cats.
Oh.
So it was broken sleep. It wasn't like a full lie-in. I still had to get up, feed the cats, and then I'd go back to bed.
Well, at least
for a few more hours. But it just felt like I hadn't even slept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets in your bones. That tiredness gets in your bones.
Yeah, so I feel like I haven't had a rest over Christmas at all. But I'm hoping... that's my goal for this year. One of my goals for this year is to put in a bit more self-care and take time out for myself more.
Okay, well, write those down. I'm going to hold you accountable. Yeah. I am going to ask you if you're doing that.
There's that. And
just for you listeners out there, she was up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I think it was the night before last. And she's sick. And I had to tell her to go to bed.
Yeah.
She's her own worst enemy.
I am my own worst enemy. But problem is because obviously when Aston's in bed, that's the most productive time I can get. Even though I'm knackered or ill, it can still sometimes be the most productive time. Sometimes it'll drag out because I'm not well. Because like the other night, I was just... It just took so long to do things. I couldn't think. I was like, what's going on? I was like, I'm trying to do this email, but I can't quite understand what I'm reading. And then I was like, I've got to go to bed.
It must be getting like close to your bedtime now. You should be. No.
Well, I should probably be going to bed this time, but it's 10:05 here, so it's no. I've still got a couple of hours at least.
Well, for your listeners out there, I'll tell you, I am in bed by that time of night.
Yeah, so you don't have little kids anymore, so...
No, I don't.
Yeah, you don't have to. Like, I probably should. Like, I know one of my business friends, she goes to bed at like 9 o'clock. And I was like, what? 9 o'clock? In the evening? She was like, yeah. I was like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do that? That's normally the time I'm getting asked to bed. And then I'm like, that's my time then after that to be by myself for one and actually do something. So was there anything that didn't go as planned last year that you wish had turned out differently?
You hate to focus on things like money, but I had hoped to make more money than I did last year. So that is one of the things. In retrospect, I think I did well. I think I'm fine. It's like I'm fine, but it would have been better to have a little bit more, just to put in place a few of the other things that I wanted to for the business. So it makes it a little bit harder to do things like follow through with some of the plans that I had. So it would have been great if I had made more money, but I mean, everybody can say that.
Yes, yeah. That's one thing that obviously I couldn't get through last year, which I hope I will. And, okay, What's one thing you're absolutely committed to doing differently in the new year? Or now, new year.
Well, you know how everybody's picking a word this year? Everybody's picking a word. I've picked focus because I'm trying really hard to just focus on one thing when I'm working on it and get that thing done before I move on to the next thing. Because I really have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
So I had a good laugh in one of the groups that we were in because one of the ladies said her word for the year was an F word, but then she said it was focus. So it was pretty funny.
I think that's going to be mine for this year because we had so many unfinished projects last year that just got put on the back burner, and I really took my eye off the ball with my own audience last year, just to try and keep afloat with everything else. I think that's going to be my word for the year's focus. Getting the task done when it's there.
We can help each other then.
Yes. Problem is, but we're terrible with each other sometimes.
Oh, we're bad. We really are bad.
Because you'll give me ideas, and then I'll give you ideas, and then suddenly we're talking about something completely different to what we should be doing.
Curses.
That's the problem, because we're both multi-passionates.
Yeah.
That is both our problem. So, ideas spark ideas, and then we're off on a tangent.
Yeah.
And especially when you send me something. And it's like...
It's positive.
Yeah. It's positive, but it can also be a problem.
It can be.
For our current situations.
Just
sometimes.
so you know, I only send you like about half of the stuff I think I'm going to send you, because I think to myself, oh gosh, if I send her this, she's definitely going to want to do this, so I'm not sending her this.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you send me, like, we'll talk about something in an email about what we're currently doing, and then suddenly I've got 2-3 other emails to go through. Because you want me to do this, this, and this, or this is an idea for this, can you put this away? So I'm like in the middle of doing something, I'm like, what do I do with this then? Where can I save this? And what do I save it under? I need an ideas bank just for you, for our stuff. That's what I need to do. I normally just save them in, like, if it's related to something coming up, then I'll put it in that folder. But then sometimes you send me random ideas, and I'm like, where do I save that? But I do it for myself as well. I'm terrible. Especially if I get an email from somebody that then sparks an idea, and I go off on a tangent with that. So yeah, focus is definitely one for me this year. I'm taking baby steps to be consistent as well. But the podcast has helped with that. Obviously, the Christmas period didn't. That's different. That's couldn't do anything about that.
Yeah.
But this year I want to try and get a little bit more consistent. I don't want to be posting on social media all the time, because that'll drain my focus away. I tried doing that too much last year, and it was just up and down, and it was annoying me. And it's not fair to the people who are following me. So I want to be more consistent with my collaborations, booking collaborations this year. I'm thinking quarterly. I'll try and do one collaboration every quarter, so it gives me 4 to do. That'll build my list as I go. If I can do more, I can do more, but obviously we've got launches coming up, so I don't want to narrow my focus away and do what we were going to do. So what's one of the big things you want to let go of in 2020 from 2024? Whether it's a mindset, habit, or something else.
I think I just have to really think about things, and if I am going to add something, before I add it as a thing on my to-do list, I want to analyze it well so that I can really gauge the amount of time it's going to take, because I often will just start doing something and not realize that it's going to eat away way too much of my time, and it's all part of that focus thing. Then I lose my focus. You know, it might be some grand thing that I've done or I am doing, but then, you know, in retrospect, like, that's one of the things I did notice about last year, there were 2 or 3 really big things that I did that I probably could have not done and saved myself a lot of the time. And, just whether it was really necessary, who knows? I mean, a lot of times it's when I start doing things like developing assets and I get really into it and it eats up a whole bunch of my time.
Yeah.
And yes, it's useful. It's very useful in the end as either giveaways or bonuses or as something that I'm going to sell. But I have to balance it with the actual amount of time I have and how much stress is it going to give me. Because I really want to reduce the amount of stress that I have.
Yes.
I really do. How about you?
You're speaking to me already. Like how much stress I had last year.
Yeah.
But then I'm a mum to a toddler, so stress kind of comes with the package. So there's only so much I can limit, but work. I want to balance work this year. That's why I've tried to, with our schedule for our annual planning, that's why I've kind of to give margin, as much margin as I can between things. And luckily, because of all the work we did last year for the launches,
yes,
and your big courses now are done, pretty much.
Yes.
So we have content there we can repurpose. So that's going to make my life...
Pat yourself on the back.
so
Let's
much
do this
easier.
right now. This is Kaylie and I patting ourselves on the back.
Yes. I'm so glad that the big work was done last year.
Yes.
It was stressful and very time consuming, but it was rewarding in the fact that we've got it all there and we can repurpose a lot of that content and makes both our lives so much easier. And
Yes.
obviously the Lindy,
It's
now
like-
that we've got Lindy on the team as well.
Yes. And the way I look at it is that all the clothes are on. The overalls, the scarf, the shoes, all of it's in place. And now this year we can concentrate on adding the jewelry.
Yes. Yeah, that's the plan. We just need to finish off the onboarding and everything, make sure all the back end stuff's done. And yeah, and then that should do. And then obviously I've got my course. Yay! It's started, it's there, and I have some students,
Yay.
so that's good. So now I've actually got that going on. But my big focus, I think, obviously apart from my course that I'm doing, which is kind of a double-edged sword in a good way, because I'm getting the course done, but it's also going into my membership, so it's helping my membership grow with content every month. So it's helpful for me. Two ends.
Fantastic. Way to go.
So I'm glad that that's in the works now. It's planned obviously up until I think it's the beginning of April. The last module will drop.
Yay.
That's why I've spaced 2 weeks. I was like, I wanted to be able to drop one module a week, but then I thought that is not going to give me enough time to do anything else. Especially after I did the first module, I was like, oh my god, this took up so much time. Because obviously you've got to research, you've got to plan, then you've got to draft all the content, then you've got to edit that.
Welcome to my world. Welcome
that,
to my
then
world.
record it,
Yes.
then record it again because it doesn't quite go right, then edit that, then you have to upload it, let your students know. Oh yeah, there's a lot more to course creation than people might think. And that's why I think patting you on the back for the amount of work that you get done in such a short space of time, and you get so much stuff done content creation wise. Like, I don't know how you do it.
30 years of practice, my friend. 30 years of practice. Repetition. Lather, rinse, repeat.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so how are you going to plan and balance your professional goals with your family and personal time this year? Any strategies you're excited to try?
Just recently, my daughter announced that she was coming up to Florida here. So I have, parceled out time. I'm not planning anything during that period of time. And I want to do that with a few chunks of time throughout the year. as you know, my mom lives with us and
Yeah.
my daughter lives across the street. We're still doing before and after care for my grandson. And my sister, who's been staying with my mom, has had the joy of 7-year-old coming in every day. So we'll continue to do that. And what I have found that is so great about it is it's just a break. It's literally a break. I drop everything I'm doing, doesn't matter what it is I'm working on, and I come out, and if Terry's there, all three of us just kind of hang out until either his mom or dad come to pick him up, and we just see him every day, talk to him every day. So that's really great. I hope that we can do some camping this year. We didn't do any camping last year, but maybe we will this year coming up. We've been talking about our truck, to keep the truck, sell the truck, keep the truck. I don't know. It's been going on for a while trying to decide what to do. We have a massively big truck. We could get away with a much smaller truck to pull the size camper that we have, because we've got one of the smaller campers now. We used to have a really, really big one, which we needed the big truck for, and now we have a quite small one. So if we can kind of get more camping in there, that would equate to more family time, because my kids love to camp. So they're happy to, have us in a campsite beside them or whatever, same campground. So that'll be probably one of the things that we'll try to do a little bit of. But yeah, that's about it.
That sounds nice, that. I love camping. I miss camping, but Reese won't go camping. I'd love to take Aston
Either you
camping,
love it or you don't.
Yeah. I think Aston's a bit too young for camping right now. I know there's people that go with babies and stuff, but it's not for me. I like camping, but I don't want to do that with a toddler. I'm trying to keep an eye on him, what he's putting in his mouth or his ears or his nose.
Yeah.
We already had that incident with the pee up his nose. I don't want to repeat of that with something else. And A&Es and no.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I think one thing kind of to do with my self-care as well is seeing friends more, is actually going to a coffee shop with a friend or something when Aston's actually in playgroup, or which it's a bit difficult because my friends don't actually live in my city anymore. They moved away and got their own families now, so it's gonna be challenging because obviously they've got lives, I've got life with my own kid, but that is something I want to try and do a bit more of, is even if it's just on the phone with a friend again.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I want to do a bit more of that.
I'll add that to my list. Very smart.
Yeah, that and family, but I can't see my family off as often as I would like because they're not far. But the problem is some of my family don't drive. My family that do drive work, so they can't come down as often. And obviously we have Reese's family, but they're a drive away as well. It's only 20 minutes, but they're a bit far out as well. Not far, but we see them more than we see my family. So I would like to see my family more, but I think it's just going to be speaking to my family on the phone a bit more than I was. My problem is, as I say, I'm too busy. I have to do this or do that. So prioritising some family time is going to have to be baked into this year, I think. That's going to be something I need to do. Not just for myself, but obviously for my family as well and friends. So is there any personal habit or mindset shift you're working on this year that will help with your growth?
I would say that focus will come back into that thought. It's just, I've been doing a lot of reading about attention deficit disorder and how to deal with it as an adult. And so I've got a few key things that I will force myself to do. And it really boils down to focus every time, because, there's just so many things that I could easily allow myself to be distracted by. So that's going to be my mindset shift, I think, from I have to do all of this and I have to do it all right now, and I should try this, and I'm just going to stop myself from doing that. Look at what I'm supposed to be doing, you know, on my spreadsheet or Airtable or in my my planner, which I'm now using daily to also kind of do a bit of a brain dump as to what I did that day to help remind me of where I left off, so that the next day I don't spend, you know, an hour and a half flailing around and reading emails and, you know, visiting this and that. I just get to work, you know, because I feel like that saves me time.
That's a habit. That's what I'll do. That's a habit I need to get out of, is looking at my emails first thing when I sit down, because it distracts you so much. Because I'm sat there and I'm like, oh, I need to answer that, or I'll flag a load of stuff and I don't come back to it for ages. Oh, yeah, and I think, well, I should have just left it, gone and done what I needed to do, and then come back to my emails when I actually have a moment that I can sit and go through. Yeah. So I do need to do that. But sometimes it's because I've sent you something and I've gone to bed and I've come up in the morning and I think maybe she's replied and I can get on with it. And obviously you haven't, because you haven't seen it when I've gone to bed, because you've gone off. So yeah, sometimes it's like that.
I think we do pretty well considering our time differences here.
Yes, I think we do. So if you had an extra hour a day, what would you do with that?
Sleep. Or let's see, an extra hour a day, I would spend more time on my fitness, walk more. I think that would be a goal that I would have. That is actually a goal I have this year, is to get a little bit more in shape and to lose weight. So that's one of those sort of like a resolution type deal. We've both been working on it, my husband and I. So let's hope that we can keep it up for the whole year.
Yes. See, that was on my plan for last year. And it kind of worked until Aston went to playgroup. Because I would go with him on a Monday to fitness class. And then on a Thursday, he would be taken to the soft play area. So I was running around with him in the soft play area. So I was getting that, and walking there takes half an hour and back. So I was getting fit from that. But then when he started playgroup, it's kind of throughout the times and things. And yeah, I just didn't go back after September, after the holidays. So that kind of didn't carry on. But I'm getting fitter, I guess, from taking him to playgroup, because it's 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. Then I have to go pick him up again, so it's another 20 minutes. So that's, what? I can't even think now. It's 40 and 40. Like 80 minutes a day for 4 days of the week where I'm walking. So it's not like I'm not getting fit, but intentionally getting fit. That is something I want to do this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I had an extra hour, I think I'd be torn between doing that and doing art, because I'd love to do my art again.
Of course.
If it was an hour where Aston wasn't here, then I would probably do the art. Because it means he's not putting his fingers in my paint and smearing it everywhere. And yeah, that's probably the only thing that I'd like to do. So I think we will wrap up this episode. And yeah, so
it's been nice to have a little catch up and a little chat.
Yes, it has. Yeah, and hopefully our listeners enjoyed us nattering on and probably going off on a tangent. But we do have so much more planned for this year for the podcast, so hopefully you will stay tuned in and follow us. And thanks for tuning in today, and until next time, keep creating, keep juggling, and most importantly, keep finding joy in the process.